Welcome to PLUSone, the series where each month I look at the free games on PlayStation Plus and tell you if they're worth the download. After all, the games may be free, but your time is valuable. This is the one you've all been waiting for, 2015's marquee title for the PS4, Bloodborne. Created by veteran developer From Software, Bloodborne is the Dark Souls of PS4 exclusives. Oh, come on, I had to. For those of you not in the know, Bloodborne is for all intents and purposes a Souls game, a series of third-person action RPGs made by FromSoft, often considered some of the hardest games in the modern gaming landscape. They focus on a minimalist narrative that you piece together yourself, patience, timing your attacks, reading your enemies' movements and patterns, and dying. A lot. You're going to die a lot. We'll talk about death in a moment. I'm coming into this video as somebody who, outside of playing Demon's Souls for a couple hours several years back, has never cared to try this style of game. If you're unsure if the Souls franchise is right for you, I'm in the same boat, so hopefully I can help you decide if you should give Bloodborne a shot. With Bloodborne, that Souls ideology I mentioned a moment ago is still there, but twisted slightly. Where the Souls game often focused on being defensive, using a shield and picking your moments to attack, Bloodborne is a more offensive game. Hell, the game actively insults shields as a callback to how much Dark Souls loves them. Instead of holding a shield in your left hand, you'll usually be holding a gun that can be used to stagger enemies if you hit them at just the right moment during their attack animations. In that way, the game is still focused on patience. Enemies still telegraph their attacks, giving you time to dodge away or react accordingly. It may seem unfair at first, because enemies pack a damn strong punch, because your attacks sometimes feel slow and your character bulky, and because you're not used to dying so much. Trust me, for the most part, Bloodborne is incredibly fair. When you take a hit, you'll notice that while your health decreases, you have a chance to earn that health back by hitting your enemy, encouraging you to make up for your mistakes. Your melee weapon of choice has two forms as well, one for fast, closer ranged combat, and a slightly slower, longer form for dealing out higher damage. Killing enemies rewards you with a number of blood echoes, which are your currency and experience points rolled into one. You'll spend these to buy new weapons or armor, upgrade your weapons, or level up your character's different stats. The enemies in Bloodborne are incredibly intimidating at first, no matter how experienced you are. They're grotesque, they're powerful, and oftentimes they're smart. Every battle feels in a way like a chess match, where you have to outsmart your foes rather than overpower them. Brute forcing it might work sometimes, but if you're not patient, you'll quickly learn to be. Be mindful of your stamina meter too, as every action you perform will temporarily lower it. You do not want to get caught with low or no stamina. That's a surefire way to take some damage or die entirely. Speaking of which, let's talk about death. Like I said, you're going to die a lot in this game. When you do, you'll drop all of your blood echoes right where you died and respawn at the last checkpoint you touched. This is going to be incredibly frustrating at points. All that work you put in to get past an area or a challenge, and now you have to go all the way back through everything all over again. And if you don't make it back to where you died to grab your blood echoes before you die again, you lose them forever. This may sound brutal, but in spite of, and arguably even because of this particular mechanic, death is rewarding. This is definitely not an original metaphor for the Souls series, but you throw your body at obstacles over and over again, each time learning and honing your craft, building a mountain of corpses that you use to climb further and further until you break through. When you finally pass, you're usually greeted with a shortcut, so now if you die, you can skip past all that trouble. Even though at points you might think you hate this game, once you climb over your failures and succeed, man, there's no feeling like it. You quickly learn not to become attached to your blood echoes, at least early on while you learn the ropes. They don't act as a bona fide reward, but rather a step in the reward process. Getting them is one thing, but keeping them is another entirely. In this sense, Bloodborne can almost even become a survival horror game at points. Every corner might have an enemy that knocks you back to square one, every new room might have a trap, every encounter is new and intimidating, and every sound can have you on edge. The online hint system certainly doesn't help with that sometimes. You can leave notes for other players at any point in the game, and while playing you can find and read these notes. They can be straightforward tips such as, be careful, they can be cryptic hints, or they can be people just trying to mess with you. You won't really know until you keep going, and that can lead to even more tension. On top of all this, Bloodborne rarely has music, instead letting your steps echo and forcing you to take in every single noise. It's usually an incredibly tense experience, but again, as long as you're patient, you'll keep progressing. Visually, the game is absolutely stunning, although I did have some noticeable frame rate issues at points on a regular PS4. They're not super common, but they're there. The destroyed Victorian cityscape makes for a totally unique setting, and the game loves to play with light in order to limit your senses, again adding even more tension to the gameplay. And even though there might not be much by way of music, the sounds of hitting an enemy are some of the most satisfying in all of gaming, and in general the sound direction is top notch. I think every single one of you PS Plus subscribers out there owes it to yourself to +1 Bloodborne, download it, and at the very least give it a try. Well, give it a few tries because again, you're gonna die. This is an incredibly unique style of game that in many ways turns traditional game design on its head with spectacular results. You don't approach a Souls game like you would any other game, and after you've played a Souls game, I would argue that you'll approach any other game differently in the future as well. I've had the game for months now, and I've been waiting for it to hit PS Plus, specifically so that I could go in blind like many of you will and give you the most direct idea of what you're in for, and most importantly, if it's right for you. It certainly won't be for everybody. Even though it's usually considered one of the easier Souls games, it's still gonna be incredibly difficult at first, and that's going to turn some people away. Even still, trust me, just try to get past the first couple areas. If by then you still feel the sense of accomplishment isn't worth the struggle, then put it down and move on to other games. But odds are you're gonna get hooked, and if you do, you're in for one hell of a ride. Bloodborne will run you a little under 30 gigs on your hard drive, and it will take you dozens of hours to beat, and more likely than not 50 hours to platinum if you're a trophy hunter. If you're watching this after March is over, the game runs for $20 regular price. For the amount of content here, it's absolutely worth that price, but you might not feel comfortable spending that if you're new to the Souls games and if you're unsure if the difficulty and style is for you. You can find the game on sale for even less money decently often, but even at $20, I would personally say it's worth the gamble. What do you think about Bloodborne? Let me know down in the comments below, and while you're down there, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for more PS Plus reviews and much, much more.